how was the impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua conducted?
Yes.
All pointers appear to face one side.
But you know, impeachment process is a political process, but it's not the House on the Hill that impeached Gachagua. These members of parliament. We were discussing about independence.
But when you look at the happenings, it's crystal.
But you know, yes.
You know, sometimes the conductor might not be the person collecting the fare.
But it is normally the conductor. Unless you go to Kencom and change. But the point I'm trying to make is very simple.
Yeah.
The people who impeach are members of parliament. They spoke. It is on record. You can visit the answered. Some were saying because he talked down to me. Others were saying he insulted me. Others were saying there was abuse of office and many others. So if you know, the question is, do you, as a country, do we believe in our constitution? If we believe yes, then we believe at a particular point, if Cherargei or so and so violates the constitution, they must fail full total. If we believe in our constitution.
Fair enough.
Yes.
But did you listen to the president?
Yes.
During the swearing in of one Professor Kindiki?
Yes, I listen. Yes, I listen.
What we say is that when you look at not just the body language,
yes,
but when you interpret his speech, he said for 2 years he has been operating like without support.
Yes.
What does it mean?
We're saying even the lone voice in the executive.
What does it mean? Does it mean that only members of parliament sat somewhere and said, let Rigathi Gachagua...
You know, in fact, I like your thinking, because the issue should be, should a deputy president or deputy governor be appointive position as opposed to elective? Because, you know, most of these political arrangements are marriage of convenience. You know, that is the whole point. So should it be appointive? And that should be the thinking of Kenyans. Like governor and deputy governor, should the governor wins have the power to do appointive and fire the way it should be? Should the president be in a position to appoint or elective? So I agree with you. So if the president had the power to appoint or fire and hire at will, then maybe he would not have subjected to the entire process of 2 years, maybe feeling that he needs to get another person to work with, because political arrangements are different animals. You know, by the time you run with a deputy governor or with a deputy president, you know, there is about voting pattern, demography. There are so many things. Side that it appears that it is a convenience of ethnic combination for winning the presidency or for winning the governorship at the county level. So it's now becoming a big challenge. As a country, should we consider having an appointive deputy governor and appointive deputy president? I think that's a good conversation, because looking at the two experiences, 2013, 2022, 2024, should we have appointive? Because you can see we cannot, and that is why I thought, even in my constitutional amendment, has it reached a time to do a constitutional audit so that we know what works, what does not work for the country? So I agree with your thinking that if the president said that, should we have given him a free hand to do elective, appointive, so that if he thinks, like for example in cabinet, he can decide today to fire XYZ cabinet for non-performance. He doesn't need to subject us to any process.
You are a senator.
Yes.
So you are among members of parliament.
Yes.
Who approved his impeachment by the National Assembly.
Yes.
You looked at the ground. You
know, the National Assembly is the pre-trial chamber. We are the trial chamber.
The trial chamber. Yes. So it's actually who approves.
Yes. We impeach. In fact, if you impeach.
The final say.
Yes.
Now, you looked at the grounds.
Yes.
That were leveled against Rigathi Gachagua.
Yes.
Yes, you only needed one.
Yes.
But you said 5 of the grounds or allegations that were made by Rigathi Gachagua
against Rigathi Gachagua,
yes, were like 2
or impeachable offenses.
Yeah, that's the exact word. So my question is, many people are still asking themselves, if Rigathi Gachagua was really impeached because of the crimes that he allegedly committed, or was it just because the president and those close to him wanted him out of the position?
One, you have to appreciate impeachment is a political process. Number two, I didn't see president in any way because he never commented. You and me are in this country. He's never commented on the impeachment process of his deputy. So be fair to him.
Are you aware that they say that
if it works, quacks and what? Yeah, I know that story.
Dogs, you look for them?
Yes. But the point, I want to be honest, one, impeachment is a political process. Number two, the president never called for parliamentary group meeting or never had a caucus meeting with members of parliament. So, in fact, to be fair to him, he was not in the equation of this process, as far as I know.
From the structures of the UDA party.
But you remember, people who voted were both from ODM, Azimio, and Kenya Kwanza.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Yeah, Kenya Kwanza, yes.
And also ODM.
The backbone of the impeachment was actually from UDA. Now, let me ask you a question.
Yes.
From the UDA structure.
Yes.
Before members of the National Assembly, members of the Senate take a position.
Yes.
What is required to be done?
You need to approve at least.
At the party level.
No. There was. In fact, I can confirm I'm a member of UDA. There is no day we did parliamentary group meeting to discuss the impeachment of the party. We never.
So.
We never. In fact, the party said it. You can check even the communication of the party. We never sat as a parliamentary caucus of UDA or a parliamentary group meeting. We never sat.
You got my point.
Yes.
Now, according to the former deputy president.
Yes.
If that did not happen.
Yes.
Then it simply meant one thing.
Yes.
That what was happening to him.
Yes.
And what happened to him.
Yes.
Had the blessings of State House.
But some of our UDA members voted against the impeachment. So if it was I want to imagine if it was no, it's not even about being allied. If you have to be fair, even if it was a position of the party position, then all the MPs of UDA would have voted for the impeachment motion, but they didn't, because impeachment is a political process. And number two, even members who are not members of coalition of Kenya Kwanza, like ODM and the rest, voted for the impeachment. Others like Wiper, which is part of Azimio, voted against the impeachment. So one is that the impeachment proceeding is political. Number two, you have to know that the threshold legally under the courts are a bit higher than what was happening in parliament. Because in parliament it came finally to the vote. You saw my reservations unanswered when I rose to speak about the motion. There were many reservations, like the issue of inheritance, like the issue of threshold constitutional, like one or two issues that came up. But the point I'm trying to make, the disadvantage, it comes back to the voting.
Which is political.
Which is at the end of the day.
So
but for me, when I saw the voting pattern, it didn't appear political. Because all others who are independent, even Jubilee, who are part of Azimio, are voting with Kenya Kwanza. Azimio, which is part of the Azimio Wiper, are voting against. So you have to give it that political process. And then, you know, Kenyans are funny. When MPs do something, you say they are not independent. When they do something, you say they are independent. So the MPs had power. This is their power. This is their constitutional power to do impeachment.
I don't know if you have listened to some MPs.
Yes.
I'll give you a good example.
Yes.
Caleb Amisi.
Yes.
The MP for Saboti.
Yes.
He said, Baba told us to first of all send the deputy home.
But that is only one.
No, there are quite a number.
One was confessed, so I will not work with assumption. What I will do, because Caleb Amisi, for example, I said that he was told by Raila Odinga, but from where I sit, you know, politicians can say anything. So we now need to hear the side of Raila Odinga, the former prime minister. He might come and say, I didn't say it. So will you believe somebody who was being told, who allegedly said? So that is why I think even I saw him saying now we have opportunity of removing one, we'll remain with one and try and remove. In fact, how will they do it?
So
they can't.
You are a senator who is a member of UDA.
Yes.
Which is the president's party.
Yes.
Why do you think it was right to impeach Gachagua?
One, I've told you, this was largely a political process. That one you have.
Yes.
Number two, it looks like the working relationship between the deputy and president was no longer tenable.
No longer tenable.
Personally, I thought those were issues that could be resolved. At the beginning, when these differences, when these differences are started, in my own opinion, as a leader, I thought the differences could be resolved. And that is why we thought involvement of the church, Wazee, and other stakeholders could resolve the differences between the deputy president and president. But unfortunately, it looks like it was, as they say in divorce proceedings, it was irretrievably broken down.
How did you vote? Yes or no?
It depends. There were 11 charges.
No,
a number I voted no, a number I voted yes.
So, yeah, I just need one. Because to impeach the deputy
there were 11 grounds.
Yes. But for the
you need only one charge to pass.
So did you vote any of the charges? Yes.
That is why I'm saying there were 11 grounds to impeach the deputy president.
Yes.
Some I voted yes, some I voted no.
So in simple terms, you voted to impeach the deputy president?
At some grounds that were, because it looked like the relationship between him and the president was no longer tenable. You could tell even from the body language, from even when the deputy president had a media interview like this one, he confessed that they were no longer in good terms. He was being frustrated. But at the beginning of these differences, I thought it's something it can be resolved.
Do you know why
we didn't know it was not deeper.
Do you know why I asked you that question?
Yes.
Because many people thought you were going to vote no against all the grounds and saying.
But I'm a fair man. I looked at the grounds, listened to the evidence, and thought some other things like the issue of their differences was. Imagine if they had not been impeached, how would their relationship work? It will affect also the stability of the country. And on many occasions, when we interacted with the president and the deputy president, I used to imagine when in my small conversations that these are things they can sit and agree to progress for future. But one thing I was certain, if they had gone to 27, they would not maybe run again together.
It's not the first time we are seeing the relationship between the president and his deputy collapse.
Yes.
Even if you look at the old constitution.
Yeah, they will be sacked on the road.
And under the new constitution, you remember Ruto had an issue with
in the second term.
With President Uhuru Kenyatta with the second term.
Yes. And some of us were casualties. That's when I was removed as the chair of jailer.
Yes.
In the Senate.
Now.
And I suffered a lot of arrests.
I know
Kamata on Friday.
I remember we talked a lot about that.
Yes. Yes.
Now, let's look at this one. Where did the rain start beating the Gachagua-Ruto relationship? Where did
it is hard to tell because these are people who work together in the executive and they interact daily as opposed to us. But one you have to give it to Ruto is a grandmaster politician and a strategist and a schemer. You remember in the last session, there were also proposals of removing him, impeaching him in the parliament.
Yes.
But you remember the advantage he had marshal and he had the goodwill of members of parliament. And that is why when President Uhuru through his individuals wanted to impeach him, they could not impeach him because they didn't have numbers. Because I have told you, it's about numbers.
Now, when it comes to Uhuru Kenyatta, you agree it was Uhuru Kenyatta who wanted. Now it comes to Ruto.
Associates.
Okay.
Let me put it that associate. So when this one, I don't know, in the beginning their relationship appeared perfect.
Yeah.
They appeared to read from the same script. But of course, at the end of last year and beginning of this year, when the deputy president started expressing frustration, saying some officers were undermining him, then some of us realized that it was not that rosy. It looked like the relationship was not working out. And for us, politicians in politics, we thought these are things you can resolve because if the deputy or the president had differences, there's many ways of resolving that. But as they say in politics, the friends of today are enemies of tomorrow. Enemies of tomorrow are friends of today. It's only permanent interest that remains constant.
Yeah.
And they say also the currency in politics is either loyalty or betrayal. And it always happens. So the issue was the relationship, the government programs. Remember the executive order that was being issued to the president assigning functions. There's a lot of that their relationship deteriorated until you can observe in public. And I think the members of parliament wanted to allow the government to work at some point, because some people are saying, members of parliament, we cannot say let's the deputy president not to be impeached, but will they work together? Now that was a big challenge. So that's why I insisted such marriages, political marriages, are for convenience, which means if the interest is over, enmity comes in, and that is the interest will change. When Raila Odinga came on board, maybe the allies of the deputy president himself maybe thought it was, and you remember he said in a show, I don't know which were, I think some radio stations, that if Raila came to be used to impeach me, then we'll know the truth. So those are dynamics within politics, and it has happened. Mm.
So when you say that, then I look back and look at before the 2022 elections. That is where some people are going back to. They are saying probably Gachagua was just used to win the Mount Kenya elections because of his groundwork in terms of local mobilization. But when the election were done, like his job was done.
No, I've had such claims, but I thought it's a relationship between him and the president. And I was in that campaign. We ran a very beautiful campaign. We won against all odds. A sitting president, and a president's candidate by the name of Raila Odinga. There could be such arguments many people are making, but I don't want to believe so. It was beyond.
The picking of the deputy.
Yes, I was there, and I remember many people wanted Professor Kindiki, who is the current deputy president, to be the deputy president, but the president considered many factors and settled on Rigathi Gachagua. So I don't know, when these members of parliament colleagues failed at that time to convince otherwise for non-picking of Rigathi Gachagua, then now they got an opportunity of removing him now, because the preferential, even everybody wanted Professor Kithure Kindiki, but the president convinced otherwise by saying Rigathi Gachagua, and then was a perfect running mate for him in terms of mobilization of votes. And in as much as Rigathi Gachagua was the first-term MP of Madeira, he had some experience in politics, having walked behind the shadows of former President Uhuru Kenyatta. He had worked as an administrator, public service, and I think the fact that he had worked with public service, maybe thought that could have been good blend. He had no doubt dynamics of the country, and you remember also he was a victim of political persecution like some of us. You remember before elections, he was also arrested for political persecution, allegations of corruption, and many others, which a number of us in Kenya Kwanza did serve of that Kamata Friday and political persecution. So I think that advance of argument, I can't authoritatively, that the person who can answer that is somebody from Mount Kenya, because for us, where we came from, our President William Ruto was running for president. So we had to come out in large numbers to vote for him. So we don't know, and maybe you can ask Mount Kenya, anybody from Mount Kenya, especially politicians, maybe, or people who did that, to tell us whether that aspect did assist in winning.